Hey guys, so I am doing this I'm not doing this last minute because this is Tuesday, the week before you're seeing this, but I am scrambling last minute because I realized I don't want to have to film over the holidays, and I already kind of had an idea of what I wanted the next video to be, so I quickly grabbed all the information I could today, and I'm going to do a quick little video for you guys. Obviously it's last minute. My lipstick is coming off, my hair is a mess, I look like shit, whatevs. That's what we're working with today. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about the quote unquote suicide song. You may have heard of this before, you may have even heard it before. A lot of different artists have covered it, done their own renditions of it, but I thought I would talk about sort of the background of it and the urban legend of it and the interesting story about the composer of the song. I thought about doing this because all my other behind the song stories are going pretty well and people seem to like them, and this song just popped into my head the other day. I know it's kind of morbid to say that the suicide song just popped into your head the other day, but my backstory with it, I learned about it when I was in high school. I can't remember how old I was. I think I was 16, maybe 17, and I was in a very turbulent place in my life, very difficult place. And I remember my little brother finding out about it, and I remember him coming into my bedroom and telling me, holy crap, there's a song that supposedly you listen to, and like if you're really depressed, it can make you kill yourself. And instantly, for some morbid curiosity, knowing that I was in a horrible place and knowing that I was horribly depressed, I said, what is it? I want to hear it. And I remember seeing a fear in his eyes, like, wait, like he suddenly realized, I don't want you to hear it. Like I wanted to share this information with you because we were like super, super close, almost like twins. And then he very quickly regretted it and told me he wasn't gonna play it for me or anything like that. So I had to like find it on my own. And this was probably back in 2005 when information on this sort of stuff was more limited. Well, I found it, and I remember being so like distraught by it. Now, it didn't drive me to want to kill myself, thankfully. However, I will say that in very, very, very difficult times in my life where suicide has come into my mind, which it probably has for a lot of people, and you know, if you're feeling that way, reach out to somebody, call the suicide hotline. I will put information for those below. Hopefully I'll remember to do that when I'm editing this. You're not alone. Please don't sit with those thoughts, and please don't listen to the song if you're horribly depressed because it's not going to help. I listened to the song and it made me really upset, and because it reached me like nothing else had reached me before. Particularly the line in the song that says, little white flowers will never awaken you, not where the black coach of sorrow has taken you. And I remember that just clinging to me so much, and every time in my life that I've gotten horribly, horribly, horribly depressed, that lyric pops into my head. Like, it's just so sad to think. I remember I used to wake up at the house I grew up in. We had morning glories outside, and I thought of those. Little white flowers will never awaken you. So you'll never walk out to a beautiful morning again with those little white flowers because you're dead. And it's just so morbid and so depressing, but it spoke to people on a very serious level. So I wanted to talk about it, where it came from, and sort of the legend behind it. The song was composed by, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Rezo Serres, R-E-Z-S-O, Serres, while he was living in Paris in late 1932. Now, Serres actually was Jewish, and he survived a Nazi concentration camp, a labor camp in the Ukraine, but unfortunately his mother died there. So he had a lot of sorrow in his life. The legend goes that his girlfriend left him, his longtime lover left him, and that drove him to write this song. I haven't found any validity to that. Actually, I found that a person he was friends with who wrote the lyrics to the song, it was a poet. I really don't know how to pronounce his name, Laszlo Havor. He wrote the lyrics that was about being left by a lover and wanting to commit suicide. I don't know that either of them had this happen to them recently. Again, I haven't found anything validating that, but it is pretty interesting. The original song was titled in Hungarian to directly translate "The world is ending." And it was about despair caused by the war, and it ended in a quiet prayer about people's sins. So it was sort of about just this aftermath of destruction. So it makes sense that it would correlate to suicide, and then the lyrics obviously correlated to suicide because that's what the writer intended. So there were two different sets of lyrics, basically. The original being about destruction and war and ending in a quiet prayer, and the secondary being about committing suicide after a lover left you. The latter is what ended up sticking in the commercialized version of the song. The song was first recorded in Hungarian by Pál Kalmár in 1935. This part is possibly a rumor, but supposedly after the song made it to the radio and started getting pretty famous, the original composer reached out to his ex-girlfriend and told her that he had written this song and that it got really big, and supposedly not long after that she killed herself. And she left a suicide note. I don't know if the legend is saying that it only said this or it had the words in it, but it had the term Gloomy Sunday in the note. Again, I have not found any validity to that. It's probably one of the many legends of this song, but as we'll learn, a lot of stuff like that has been passed around from generation to generation, but may not really be true. Now, Sam Lewis and Desmond Carter each wrote an English translation of the song. It was Sam Lewis's version, recorded in 1936 by Hal Kemp and his orchestra, that caught on. From one of the articles that I read, it said that Sam liked the bitter despair of the original Hungarian version, and so he stayed close to that. So his second verse was, "Gloomy is Sunday, with shadows I spent it all, my heart and I have decided to end it all," which is basically suicide. "Soon there'll be candles and prayers that are sad, I know. Let them not weep, let them know I'm glad to go. Death is no dream, for in death I'm caressing you. With the last breath of my soul, I'll be blessing you." So it's very sad, very morbid, very much about choosing to die. Lewis, however, did make one concession to commercializing the song. He wanted to add in a final paragraph that sort of uplifted the mood and made it happy somehow, made it like a happy ending, I guess. He wanted to bring levity to the very serious subject of the song. This ending is what you'll hear in the most famous versions of it, like Billie Holiday. I remember hearing it originally and thinking that kind of ruins it, but now like I get why they added it. But the final verse says, "Dreaming, I was only dreaming. I wake and I find you asleep in the deep of my heart, dear." So it's like, oh, it was just a shitty dream. Like, I don't know. They had to add levity to it, and I understand that. But when you read the lyrics of the song, when you hear the whole song, it's so heart-wrenching that for it to just be a dream is like, it's a very vivid dream. Now again, Billie Holiday recorded this in 1941 and released her version of it, and it gained even more popularity. According to legend, there had already been suicides caused by this song. Again, I haven't found any validity to that. Everything that I find says that these so-called deaths, so-called suicides, are hard to track down, hard to validate, and if anyone has tracked someone down, it's typically someone who lost a lot due to the Nazi regime coming into Europe, or taking over Europe rather. Lost a lot due to famine, lost a lot due to just war, disease, everything. So this song isn't what caused people to kill themselves, but it may have resonated with people who had nothing left. There's also legend that radios banned the song after these suicides happened. That's only true in Britain. It is not true in America. The song was never banned here, apparently. But in the United Kingdom, they did ban it from the radios. I don't know exactly what year it was banned. I would guess sometime in the 40s, but the ban was lifted in 2001. However, there is one suicide in this story that is confirmed, and that is of the original composer. In January of 1938, 35 years after writing the song, Serres threw himself from his apartment window. I did read somewhere that he survived the fall and then later choked himself to death with a wire. I don't know the validity of that either, but that's just part of it. But he did in fact kill himself. Whether it was the fall that killed him or choking himself with a wire, he caused his own death. He is said to have stated that the song became so popular, it sort of did cause him to be horribly depressed, but not in the way that you would think, not in the words, but in that he knew he could never write something that would be that big of a hit again. And it was sort of, he was always trying to live up to this song and he never could. In his apartment, he did leave a note after his suicide, and the note read, "I stand in the midst of this deadly success as an accused man. This fatal fame hurts me. I cried all of the disappointments of my heart into this song, and it seems that others with feelings like mine have found their own hurt in it." So it seems like his note was just, he felt guilty. He felt like people are, first of all, pinning this suicide song to me as if that's something that was purposeful of mine, and that's not at all what he meant. He didn't mean for people to be driven to suicide by this song. And at the same time, he's saying that people related to it. People related to the disappointments of his life. People related to how horrible he felt and the depression that he suffered. And I mean, normally that would be something that people would be proud of, but in his case, apparently it just was too much for him. This is probably all he's hearing about it is, oh, you wrote the suicide song. You're the reason people have killed themselves. So it really attributed to his downfall and eventually seems to be a big reason for his suicide. Now, I'm not saying the song drove him to kill himself. I don't believe it did. Obviously, there were other factors involved. Obviously, if any of these deaths are true, there would have been factors involved. It's not like someone's just normal and happy and everything's going great and they hear this song and then they kill themselves. It's not that. It's sort of just, it touches people on such a level and sort of confirms the things that they can't even put into words. It sort of adds a voice to the thought of suicide and the romanticism of what it would be like to end it all. Now, this isn't romantic. It's not a good thing. It's not the right decision for anyone to make. If you are feeling lost, if you are feeling suicidal, please reach out, because there are people who care. Reach out to me if you need to. I will put links below. I will put a hotline below, a suicide hotline. I'll put chats below. There's online chats now. Please reach out to somebody. Don't listen to the song if you're horribly depressed. I'll warn you guys again. But if you are in a good place, if you feel you can handle it and you are just interested to hear it, my personal favorite rendition of it is by Sarah Brightman. Billie Holiday is another, I don't want to call it a fun fact because this is a pretty screwed up video, but an interesting fact about the song is that it is used in Schindler's List more than once. Schindler's List is one of my favorite films. Schindler's List is, I'm one of those weird people that I can put that on in the background while I'm like cooking and stuff, and I love it. But when you hear it, if you look it up on YouTube, I'll try and link that below as well. When you hear the music and you realize that it's the composition from the song, I forget who performed this version. It was Itzhak, I can't remember his last name, Itzhak Perlman. His version is used in Schindler's List, and holy shit, like, I knew about this song for a long time and I loved this movie for so long and I never realized those were one and the same. So it is the Hungarian version of it, I believe, is used in Schindler's List a few times. So that's very interesting as you're playing it, because Schindler's List is just a shit show of emotions. So it's fitting. But yeah, that is it for the quote-unquote suicide song. It's called Gloomy Sunday, if you're interested in looking it up. Again, thank you guys for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for all the views. I've gotten a lot of comments in support of the song things that I'm doing and such. So it's not going to be all that I'm doing, because I'm going to run out of songs and stuff. Gonna run out of true crime stories, but I am interested in true crime and I like these behind the song things. So if you guys have any songs that you'd like to hear the meaning behind, especially if it's something that I've never heard before, something that's not mainstream, those are so interesting to me because it draws you to a whole other genre, a whole other band. And I have to say half my playlist is probably stuff like that, really random songs from really random bands that I'd never heard of before until I heard the story behind it, or you know, whatever it was that drew me to it originally. So those are really cool. So if you would like to hear something specific, please comment below, please like this video, and please subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.